Beneath the smile.
I'm Tom Ripley.
How do you do?
Beneath the charm.
I wish I could live Dickie's life for him.
Tom Ripley will do anything it takes to get everything he wants.
Action!
The idea of somebody wanting to exchange their identity for somebody else, that to me is a fascinating thing.
What did you actually do in New York?
Forging signatures, impersonating practically anybody.
What?
What attracted me to it was the central character, who was one of the most complicated and interesting characters I'd ever seen.
This is a secret. It's a secret between us.
It is told entirely through Tom Ripley's eyes, and therefore you start to be influenced by Tom.
It's a really dark film noir, but then it's a thriller.
You're shivering, Marge. Can I hold you?
There's some mystery and murder. It's a very unique piece.
I always thought it would be better to be a fake somebody than a real nobody.
Director Anthony Minghella of the Academy Award-winning Best Picture, The English Patient, brings his unique vision to the new thriller, The Talented Mr. Ripley. The film features an all-star cast including Matt Damon, Gwyneth Paltrow, Jude Law, Cate Blanchett, and Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Okay, that's for us.
Minghella found a personal connection to the novel on which the film is based.
I read it and thought, I like this book, I like this character. And what happened in the course of working on the screenplay, I realized that there was material that really fascinated me and which I felt quite personally connected to. I grew up on a small island, the son of immigrant people, and so I've always had this sense of there being a world I didn't belong to. And I think that Ripley has its own reflection of that insofar as it's about a character who feels he has his nose pressed up against the window of a world he doesn't naturally belong to.
The movie's very much about identity and your connection to your own identity and the longing to be somebody else. We find him at the beginning of the film living alone in very poor circumstances. And then one day he's playing the piano at a cocktail party and he borrows a jacket that has a Princeton logo on it.
We're at Princeton. Most likely you'll know our son, Dickie Greenleaf.
And rather than admit he's this nobody, he tells a lie.
How is Dickie?
On the other side of the world, Dickie Greenleaf lives a life very different from Ripley's.
Dickie's trying to escape from the clinches of his dad. There's a great line in it where he says, "My father builds boats, I sail them." And for him, why should he go back and run a business when he can enjoy himself fooling about on a boat with Marge, drinking Campari and playing bocce with the locals?
Could you ever conceive of going to Italy, Tom? I'd pay you to persuade my son to come home.
I have always wanted to go to Europe, sir, but...
Good. Now you can go for a reason.
So to get away from that purgatory in New York, off Ripley goes to Italy, and this is kind of the beginning of this adventure.
Dickie Greenleaf? It's Tom. Tom Ripley.
Tom Ripley?
We were at Princeton together.
Did we know each other? Sorry, what is it?
Ripley.
How do you do?
Tom introduces himself, and it's a very interesting scene because Dickie's not rude, but he's certainly not polite. He's a little prickly towards the idea of Americans invading this paradise. But I imagine he's also vaguely intrigued by this guy who suddenly sparks a memory of his past life.
Tom was telling me about his journey over. It's just kind of startling, I think, at first to hear another American accent, but then I think they find it kind of comfortable, they welcome him, and it's kind of nice to have somebody from home. No, I like him.
Marge, you like everybody.
Marge, you like everybody.
What if we were to buy a car with your expense money?
Okay.
Tom is so taken with Dickie and his lifestyle. He's just in awe of this person who's just so in touch with who he is and the world around him that Dickie's basically everything Ripley's always wanted to be.
Dickie likes to be the center of attention. So Tom's sort of wide-eyed rapture of Dickie and his way of life is fine by him. So they become quite a good team, and they also have fun. You know, they have a lot of fun together.
For Minghella, finding the right actor to play the complex role of Ripley was his greatest challenge.
The one stipulation I made was I wouldn't make the film unless I felt I'd found a Ripley that I was excited by. And what happened was that I saw Good Will Hunting, and suddenly there was this character, Matt Damon.
I mean, you just want to have your little fling with, like, the guy from the other side of town. Then you're going to go off to Stanford, you're going to marry some rich prick who your parents will approve of, and just sit around with the other trust fund babies and talk about how you went slumming too once.
I thought he was fantastic in the film, and I thought he's somebody I should sit down with. And his relish for the material and his understanding, because he's a writer, he really got what I was doing in the screenplay. And the fact, too, that his essential quality is winning.
The decision to do it was a pretty easy one. It was less of my saying yes to it and more that I couldn't say no. I knew that I had to do it. I can't keep spending your father's money.
I love how responsible you are. Let me buy you a jacket. When we get to Rome, there's a great place, Battistone.
In casting the role of Dickie, Minghella took an unconventional approach.
I had a hunch that Dickie would be the hardest part to cast in the film because of the class issue of Dickie. Most young American actors are very contemporary, very streetwise, and I think conjuring that social territory is very tough for them. Whereas in England, it's a much greater facility to evoke that. And so I went to Britain for an actor, and I desperately wanted Jude Law.
Anthony was absolutely convinced that he was essential to the mix of this film because Dickie has to be the charismatic figure in the movie. And Jude is incredibly charismatic.
I think he is an amazing actor, and also he's unbearably handsome. Unbearably handsome. And I thought that in a film which is so much about the desire to be somebody, who else would you rather be than Jude Law?
If you're not at my place by 7 o'clock, Tom and I are running off together.
The casting of Gwyneth Paltrow as Marge came prior to her Academy Award-winning success in Shakespeare in Love.
Gwyneth, I asked her to do the film from the beginning. She was the first person I cast.
I've been friends with Anthony for some time, and he always kind of joked about, oh, well, there's a part for you in my next movie. And I sort of thought, yeah, I'm probably passing through frame once. And then I got this note from him saying, if I can find a Ripley, will you be my Marge? And I still have it in my drawer.
She is an original, an absolute original. There's no one quite like her. You're happy to be in her company when she's on the screen. And that's the quality that stars have.
All right, bar's open.
The story is set against the rich backdrop of Italy in the late 1950s.
That period in Italy, 12 years after the end of the war, it was known as Il Boom, you know, this time of change. And so I've tried to sit the film on this rubble of the war, and then this new layer going on, which are scooters, Vespas, new clothes, fashion, style, people with money. That seems to me such a rich canvas to sit the film on. So I've tried to identify, sometimes quite literally, that strange striation. Part of my understanding of what Italy was like in 1958-59 is to do with the cinema of the late 50s in Italy, in the cinema of Fellini, of Visconti, of Rossellini. When I look at the early Fellini movies, I think, well, it's exactly the kind of film that I want to make. And I found myself really trying to evoke a quality that I remember from those films, particularly Vitelloni, actually, which is about guys hanging out and friendship.
To capture the true look and feel of Italy, the filmmakers spent several months shooting throughout the country.
The film is really a celebration of Italy. Italy is a character in the film. And the challenge of going there to recreate 1958 was just enormous.
I think there were more locations in this picture than any film that I've ever been involved with. It's all over Italy. It's in Venice, it's in the coastal towns, it's in Rome.
We pretty much went all over the place. And that was interesting to see the differences way down in the south versus way up in the north.
It struck me that it would be great fun to make because it would be filming here and in Rome and in Naples and in beautiful locations.
It is absolutely fantastic because on the days that I work, it's just about work. But then you have these days off and all of a sudden you're in Italy and it's so beautiful.
One day we just went out and got this little boat. We all piled into this thing and we got out there and we were in the middle of the Mediterranean, just like sitting there, and there was just nobody around, and everybody just said, well, like, what are we doing on the boat? And everyone just dove into the water and swam around. It was just beautiful.
Oh,
Okay, we're going to Naples. It's a club. It's not a club, it's a cellar.
Vile.
Yes, it's vile. Don't worry, you're gonna love it.
And action!
In addition to capturing the period look of the film, Minghella also set out to create a distinctive sound.
When we met and talked about the music for the first time, what Anthony heard was this blue note, cool jazz sound of the 50s.
I tried to think about what was particular to that period. Well, jazz was particular. There's so much music in it. It's as much a musical, this film, as it is a thriller.
The music is very crucial to the movie, the jazz.
For one scene that takes place in a crowded nightclub, Damon and Law spent weeks preparing to perform on stage.
We rehearsed it a lot, but being in that jazz club with all the extras and with the music blaring, it was fantastic. We're all jumping around and singing it. Even people who were working were in there singing with us. Anthony was singing. It was a pretty lively day.
As his friendship with Dickie grows, Ripley is drawn into a lifestyle of leisure and privilege.
It's the story of a man who's never had any of the luxuries in life, who, by a twist of fate, has the opportunity to go and get involved in another young man's life of privilege. All things sensual, physical, financial, in every way privileged. And he loses his sense of mission, which was to get this young man and bring him back, and instead falls in love with that life.
I've gotten to like everything about the way you live.
But the friendship between Ripley and Dickie is threatened by the arrival of another American, Freddie Miles.
Federico! ¿Cómo stai? Bene!
Freddie's got that, old school New York upper crust way. But in the end of the day, the guy's just a good time guy.
I mean, hey, if I'm late, think what her husband's saying.
Ripley's jock dumb. He's like, I can't compete. And Freddie grabs the wine, drinks it down, pats everyone's kissing everybody, talking about the girls. I mean, this is not a guy Ripley wants around. This guy's just gonna make things very difficult.
Freddie is a character who, the minute he meets Ripley, he fixes on him. It's just an instinctive understanding of who Ripley is. He gets the fact that Ripley is a mooch, and he just marinades Ripley in his poison.
I want this job of yours, Tommy. You stay at Dickie's house, eat Dickie's food, and his father picks up the tab.
You said to make sure you didn't miss the train?
Had a good time.
See you, Tommy.
The arrival of Freddie Miles refocuses Dickie's opinion of Tom, because what happens is that I think Tom starts to expect from Dickie, and that's where Dickie perhaps loses his taste for that friendship.
You're the brother I never had. I'm the brother you never had.
What are you talking about?
Ripley's enormously obsessed with this man, and that relationship is a very dangerous one to have, and eventually it crosses the line.
We'll still go to Venice. I mean, we could stick to that plan.
I don't think so, Tom. I think we've seen enough of each other for a while.
What?
The idea of returning to this pit in New York where he has nothing is so alarming to him that he stops at nothing, really, to try and stay in that world.
You're back! Where's Dickie?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Dickie's disappeared. Nobody knows where he is. Some people think he's committed suicide. Some people think he's done some bad things and has run away and is hiding.
With Dickie out of the picture, Ripley assumes his identity.
I'm Meredith, by the way.
Dickie. Dickie Greenleaf. I don't want too many large bills. No one will change them.
It's almost like Ripley tries to become the Dickie he wanted Dickie to be. It's a Dickie with Ripley's taste, Ripley's desires.
I've never been happier. I feel like I've been handed a new life.
It's the Ripley unconstrained, the Ripley who doesn't hate himself. That's the transformation.
We see Ripley in both modes, and it's part of the charm of the movie to see how he navigates as Tom Ripley and as Dickie Greenleaf.
I go south. Mongebello? Prego, signore. It's tiny. It's near Vesuvius.
I wanted in some way for Ripley, when he makes this transformation into Dickie Greenleaf, to have his own equivalent of Marge Sherwood, and I immediately thought of Cate Blanchett.
On vacation?
Kind of. I have an aunt in Rome.
Blanchett had just completed her Oscar-nominated role as the title character in Elizabeth when Minghella approached her about this film.
I didn't understand why she should be interested in coming to meet about the Meredith of the script that she read, because it was a much smaller role. And when I discovered he actually did want to play Meredith, the part just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger to try and lasso as much of what's great about her as I could.
What an unreliable rat you are.
Cate's amazing. She's got a particular kind of physical and vocal drawl that's really wonderful.
Do you absolutely hate the opera? I've been trying to give my tickets away, but if you were prepared to be dragged...
You could drag me.
The possibility of mirroring the couples became more and more intriguing to me, and also the idea that Ripley would keep colliding with somebody who would ultimately prove the most problematic character for him. It's almost like he keeps colliding with his conscience.
I've thought about you so much.
I've thought about you.
He's trying to act something out, and she doesn't realize that she's a character in his fantasy. She's met the man she's been waiting all her life to meet, and just as she is beginning to blossom, Ripley is sort of going into a nightmare.
Oh, look, there's Meredith Thingy. What's her name, Marge? The textile people.
For the entire cast, the highlight of the film was working with Minghella to create the nuances of each character.
He gives actors the space to invent, but at the same time he knows absolutely what he wants. So he's got a very firm guiding hand. But the wonderful thing, I suppose, when you get really great writer-directors is that it's all there on the page.
What I was thinking of is if there was something...
Anthony is such a clever writer, so you really have to be on your toes, you know? You really have to put your acting cap on and think, okay, I better concentrate here.
As a director, it's just total dedication to his project. He takes about 3 years per movie, so it really takes over his life. He calls it going into the tunnel.
So you come in...
What I'm always trying to find is what's personal. To live with a film for 2, 3, or 4 years of your life, it has to situate itself somewhere inside your own obsessions. And I've always wanted to exchange myself with somebody else.
La polizia.
As the police close in on Ripley, Marge's own suspicions grow.
Dickie cashed checks for $1,000 the day before he disappeared. Is that what you do before you jump into the Tiber?
Marge first goes through a phase of not believing that he's gone, and then, you know, she gets these cryptic notes from him.
He hasn't called. He's hardly written. You don't just dump people.
But as time goes by, she knows that something's gone very awry, and that maybe her instincts about Tom were wrong, and something deeply bothers her about him, although she doesn't know quite what it is.
I tried again, waiting here, watching for him. Instead, it's you. Whenever I look for Dickie, I find you.
Once he's made this choice to take over this guy's life and try to sustain that fiction, suddenly he's a rat scurrying through a maze.
I thought you were enjoying yourself.
Let's take a carrazzo and look at the moon.
Are you crazy?
Come on, I need to talk to you.
He's an extremely quick-thinking guy. He finds himself in these situations where, you know, he's about to get caught, and he somehow manages to constantly elude his would-be captors.
Dickie, come on, it's me. It's Freddie, let me in.
Coming?
Ripley's talent is to think plausibly on his feet. He can spin a story in front of you like a magician. It's also his curse.
Where's Dickie?
He's gone. He went to dinner. He's at Otello's. Do you know Otello's?
No. I don't think he's at dinner at 6:30 p.m. If you said he was still at lunch, maybe I'd believe you. The minute that Freddie walks into that apartment and there's Thomas Ripley, and he just knows that something's up. This guy's like wearing these clothes and walking around. He got the piano and stuff.
Did this place come furnished? Like, it doesn't look like Dickie.
Freddie's a lot of things, but he's smart and he's loyal to his friends, and he's mad. He's mad that his friend has been taken away from him. and he's gonna get to the bottom of it.
You know, in fact, the only thing that looks like Dickie is you.
The interesting challenge of it was to play a character who does things that it would be tough to sympathize with, and yet somehow still have sympathy for him.
Don't you just take the past and put it in a room in the basement and lock the door and never go in there?
Always my process has been to try and find a way of humanizing Ripley so that the audience who's with this character for every scene of the film can inhabit all the blessings and catastrophes that fall on Ripley.
And I've lied about who I am and where I am.
This is a very complicated and odd hero. And nevertheless, you're still involved in his jeopardy. I mean, he's a guy that does some bad things, but you do not want him to be caught. And it becomes a super tense cat and mouse game of how long he can continue to elude the people who know that he is not that man.
There's a private detective on the case now.
There's an odd moral requirement in the Hollywood film. You know, good guys have to triumph and bad guys have to get caught. And what is Ripley? Is he a hero or a villain? It doesn't fit at all.
Hello, Marge.
This is at heart a thriller. And part of the fun is the suspense that's created by not knowing precisely where you're going to go next.
I know about you.
Well, you get the reward.
There is a really human basis to all of the personalities in the story, and yet, as a whole, all the characters are very complex.
Whenever Dickie does something, I feel guilty.
There's so many layers to everything, and I think that it's a very interesting way to tell a story.
I know it's you. I know it's you!
The movie's very much about identity and the consequences of distancing yourself from your own identity. And the moment you do that, what is it that happens?
Well, whatever you do, however terrible, however hurtful, nobody thinks that they're a bad person.